Hi, welcome to the next episode of No Edges. I'm so happy for you guys to be here as always. Thank you so much for coming, taking your time out, get your popcorn, get your tea, get everything. Actually, is it that kind of atmosphere? I don't know. But yeah, welcome. Before we start the episode, I want you to like, I want you to subscribe. I want you to follow me on all socials, let's connect. Before I start this ep, I just want to put just a tiny disclaimer out there. So I know that there are people that have different beliefs, different mind processes. There are people out there that are fragile-minded. I just want to put a disclaimer out there that this is an intense episode. So if you're somebody that you watch things and you can't really comprehend things, or you're quite fragile-minded, I would advise you to stop watching. Like, it's not that deep, okay? I'm not here for the money or the fame. I'm not concerned about the subs or the likes. If you know that you can't listen to intense topics, switch it off. It's not that deep. I don't want to hear Pim. I don't want to hear after I watched your episode, I couldn't sleep. I don't want to hear none of that, please. This is a very odd topic. Trust you and me, I was not going to talk about this, but I just felt led. I felt led to say this, and I don't know why. I feel like sometimes, in our lives, things are orchestrated, and sometimes you'll do something, you think it's of your own accord. I feel like it's just things coming together. I feel like nothing is a coincidence. Nothing happens by accident. And this is actually not the second episode. This was not an option. So there's not going to be no fancy edits. This is just me talking to camera because it wasn't planned. It was not planned at all. So let's get into it. It was mid-2015. My mum approached me. She told me that one of my aunties in Ghana wanted to come to Britain. And so if I had any finances to help, I'm not going to lie. When she told me, I was elated. I was happy because I was like, wow, like, she's my mum's sister. Somebody I'm related to is going to be here. Like, I can actually tell my friends that I'm going to my auntie's house. My dad's side of the family are all here. Like, most of them are here. However, it was a strange relationship. Nothing bad happened, but we just wasn't close. I'm not going to lie. When I saw some of my friends saying, I'm going to my cousin's house, or they'd be, I'd be a little bit envious because I'm like, oh, I don't have that relationship. I was kind of a bit of alone. Like, I didn't have family here. So when she was planning to come here, I had no idea. I was so excited. It was £3,000 to come. We all put £1,000 together. Everything was patterned. And she came, she started working. Everything was going okay. Now that I think about it, I realized that her demeanor was a bit off. She was a bit standoffish, and I didn't understand. I just thought it was shyness, because I understand some people are introverted, and I'm also not everybody's cup of tea. I know that. I am Marmite. Like, you either like me or you don't like me, and I understand that. Like, not everybody's gonna like you. Do you understand? I would say at the time I was going above and beyond for her. My mum, I spoil my mum a lot. If I go out, I buy something for her. It can be perfume, it can be food, it can be anything. So I started having this habit of bringing two home, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I got two mums. Like, I was so excited to have somebody here. Do you know what I mean? Somebody that we were blood related, because in the African community, everybody's your auntie, but they're not actually your auntie. They're not related to you. So it was nice. Like, oh my gosh, this is my actual auntie. You don't even have to say it twice. Like, my auntie, so just to reiterate, that is my blood. I was that excited. I was very hospitable. I was very accommodating. There was even a point where I bought a book so that, because her English wasn't that great. I wanted her to really integrate well into society. So I was like, whenever you want, like, we can do this once a week. Like, I can read it back to you and stuff. She literally dashed the book. Girl, you're in Britain. How else do you want to learn? Do you know what I mean? I should have clocked there. Like, she doesn't like me. She doesn't like you, girl. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'm such an empath, and I just feel sorry for people. I do spot when people don't like me. However, it's my family. I thought, I don't care that you don't like me, but I'm going to help you. Like, I care. Do you know what I mean? She had 2 jobs. Like, everything was going well for her and stuff like that. But for some reason, my life started to decline. I was getting issues that were just like, further on down the line, I will kind of go into each issue. There were so much issues. I can't even cram it into one episode. There was just so much misfortune happening at that time. It got to the point where I was so desperate. I think I reached out to about 10 pastors. And when you get to a point in your life where you're like, yeah, God, we need to have a word, because what is this? What is this life? Like, why am I going through all of this? And it was one after the other, after the other. It was back to back to back. There was a point where I was just so broke. Like, I was losing money like water. I couldn't explain it, but it was just this dark cloud hovering over my head. And I was so desperate. I was reaching out to pastors over the Atlantic. Like, I was so desperate. It's only when bad things happen that you're like, rah, okay. Yeah, it's not about just going to church and that. It's about actually opening the Bible, cracking open the Bible and having a little prayer here and there, you know, a bit of fasting. It was mad. Later on, I'll go into it and you'll understand. You'll be like, rah, that's a bit too much to happen in the span of 2 years. But it was just around the time she had arrived and it was just looking a bit spooky, but I didn't suspect anything. I didn't think of anything. Like I said, I reached out to I don't even know how many pastors I reached out to, but I reached out to all these pastors. And there was something that they all kept saying. And to this day, yeah, I try to calculate things, but the math is not mathing. I try to think, no, but how? How can all these pastors say the same thing? Unless there's a conference whereby they're like, right, guys, G is going to visit all of us, right? So we need to all say the same thing, okay? We're all going to say this. Then how did they all say the same thing? I would go to each of them, I swear to you, on different parts of the year. Like I said, over the Atlantic. South London, East, I was traveling. And I will go to each pastor and they will say to me this one thing, and not a word is out. They said to me, your mum instructed you to give money to your auntie. You thought you was doing a good deed. That auntie used that money to go and do black magic. Your mum asked you to do something. Like it was the same thing. You thought you were doing a good deed. And I'm like, my mum tells me to give money to everybody. Who could it be? There's not one auntie that I can think of that I've not sent money to. I have sent money to all my aunties. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, but who? And all now I'm like, I don't really believe in all of this. I was like, what is all this spiritual stuff? Like, I don't get it. They kept saying the same thing. It got to the point where I was so frustrated. I got to this church and it was a prophetic pastor. She was a lovely woman. When she first saw me, she could just see the despair. She knew. She was like, you have been through so much. One day, at the end of this year, the pastor approaches me and she says, I just want to let you know that the person that has been ruining your life about to leave you. I'm like, who? Where? What? How?
Like who, what, where? Nah, but who, where?
I was so lost for words. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? So I sat down and I just saw my pastor kind of glance at me and she called my auntie up. This was no different to how service was usually conducted, you know? So sometimes she calls you, sometimes she doesn't, sometimes she says the word. It's normal. When you go to church, all these things are normal. So she called up my auntie, still not clicking. She does this thing where she gets oil and she starts dashing it at my auntie, innit? And pouring it on my auntie's head. Still not clicking. I'm like, okay. And she asked my auntie, why are you tormenting Ajwa? Ajwa is actually my Ghanaian name. It's my house name. Even then, I was like, which Ajwa? So then my auntie starts to manifest. For those that don't know what manifesting is about, it's like somebody being possessed. They're talking in another person. It's like somebody's taking over their soul or their spirit and they're kind of talking to you, conversing with you. And there's so many things that can happen while it's happening. You can have shaking, you can fall, you can foam at the mouth, you can scream. It's basically, I would say exorcist type kind of process that's happening. I'm so used to it because I've seen this stuff since I was 6. I would just pop open my can of Fanta and my biscuit and I would just sit there and watch this like it was a movie. I'd become so numb to it. So it wasn't nothing new. I know, it sounds and looks wild, but I don't even have any explanation for it. Honestly, it's not something I see often. Like the church that I'm at now, they don't do it. But growing up, I saw it a lot. I only noticed it's a thing when you bring somebody that's maybe from a different faith or somebody that's never really been to church and you're like, pastor, out of all the Sundays that you wanted to manifest, you couldn't manifest last week. This week I need the choir and that. I need a good word. No manifesting today because you don't want to scare the person off. It's something that always kind of flew over my head. I always thought that nothing like this could ever happen to me. I was deeply wrong. Auntie starts moving all over the gaff. She's moving. She's like, almost like Michael Jackson, you know, when they're just like turning into a zombie, like she's going mad, like moving mad. And the pastor's just chucking oil at her. She's shifting, she's shaking. Eventually, she just gets all riled up and then she just lets out this big scream. And she says, I want to ruin her life. I want her to kill herself. I don't want her to ever progress in her career. I don't want her to get married. I've even planned barrenness for her. Even if she meets somebody, I've planned barrenness for her. I want her to die now. It was like an out-of-body experience. Everything was so surreal. I just could not believe what I was hearing. Right now, you want me to die right now, today. This woman knows I've got Chinese in the fridge. She knows I've got special fried rice waiting for me when I get back home. I at least want to finish that before I die. If I'm going to die, I need to be on a full stomach. What? Die right now? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Honestly, I just didn't know what to think, guys. I honestly didn't know what to think. I couldn't fully comprehend what was happening because I'm not sure if I believed it, but I just know, yeah, that even to hear those words, even for her to utter what she was saying is up. Even if that's your own inhibitions, even if that's the way you feel about me, it was up to hear. Could this possibly be what's happening? Like, is this the woman that has just planned all of this downfall for me? All of this failure? Is it her? She was just obsessed. She just kept talking about, I'm never going to let her marry. Like, she's never going to get married. Even if she does, like, she's not going to have kids. The pastor was like, why are you doing this? And she said, it's because she was born here. I'm the only one on my mum's side that was born in this country. In my head, I was thinking, girl, I couldn't have chosen where I was conceived. This is something that's completely out of my hands. I couldn't believe it because somebody had told her years ago that she was supposed to have her children here. And there was this jealousy, there was this rage about me being born here. And I thought, girl, I started working from the age of 12. My life has not been easy. There's this misconception with Africans. They think that I live in Buckingham Palace. I'm living a good life. I'm living a luxurious life. I have money. I think she was bitter. I think she got here and she realized that she'd actually have to work. It's funny because life over there is actually better. Over here, we are eating processed food. There is a massive lack of vitamin D. We are tirelessly working just to pay our rent, just to live. We are working to live. Whereas over there, you rest. You can work as much hours as you want to. You don't have to think about a mortgage. You don't have to think about road tax. There's so much expenses that you don't even have to think about. Like, there was a girl that even raised a good point about, we want anything, we have to get a loan, we have to get credit, you know, we have to get a mortgage, we have to continuously pay these things off. Whereas you can be in Africa, you pay off your plot, you pay off your house, and you own it. All that glitters is not gold. I didn't get it. She had this weird obsession with wanting to have her kids here. Auntie, you should have waited. You should have come to England and opened your legs here. Like, I don't know what you want me to do with this information, bro, but you should have waited. If somebody said to me, look, you're going to have your children abroad, my legs would be shut. There'd be a padlock around there so that I wouldn't have kids where I am. You've gone out of your way to go and do dark magic over me because of where I was born. When she prayed for me, I let out this big scream and I can't explain the feeling. I felt lighter. I felt relief. I felt like this dark cloud over my head had moved. It was a very, very weird encounter. It's something I'll never, ever forget. It's the day that my life changed. It's the day that my thinking expanded. I remember when we finished the service, the pastor came over to me and she was like, look, it's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. I don't know what the pastor thought I was going to do. It's not in my nature to hit people. Like, no. I honestly don't know how to feel about it, to be honest. I still haven't got my head around it. The drive home was very awkward. Like, it was silent. Silenced. You could cut the tension in the air with a knife. I got home, I got to my room. I think I cried. I called my mum. My mum spoke to me and she was just in complete and utter shock. And she was like, I commend you for not doing anything. I'm like, bruv, why does everyone think I'm going to knock her out? I go to boxing so that I don't hit people. Like, you know what I mean? I've never actually hit anyone. A week later, I went to work and I was coming home. I see like rubbish bags on the corner, on the curb. Like, she was such in a rush to get out of the house, yeah, that she didn't have suitcases. I saw her and she was kind of shocked to see me. And she was like, oh, I'm just letting you know that I'm leaving. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. I pray that God blesses you a lot. I'm going somewhere. She never gave us a forwarding address. She never gave us her number. This was like a couple of years ago. I don't know where she lives. Imagine we've helped somebody come to this country and they've literally disappeared into thin air. She could have passed away. I wouldn't even have a clue. I would say afterwards, life started to begin. I was extremely broke. And somebody messaged me. It was a company in Wales. They messaged me and said, would I be up for working on this show? They didn't interview me. They didn't ask for references. Get this, they didn't even meet me physically. I worked from home. This was pre-COVID. That was the first time I'd ever worked at home in my whole entire life. On the last day I finished that, I got an email and it was from a lady that I'd been chasing for a year. I'd messaged her and said, I really want to be in this field because I was ready to come out of the field I was in into a different field. I stopped searching for work and I was getting work coming to me. It was mad. I kid you not, I got jobs through Instagram. I'd get people messaging me, oh, what are you doing at the moment? I don't know what happened. It was a shift. That's all I can say. It happened after she left. Think what you want, is what it is. My take home from this whole experience, and my mum always says this, is if you don't fear people, you won't last. It's a Ghanaian proverb and it's so true. A lot of people think their enemies are some strangers. They think their enemies are in their workplaces. They think their enemies are amongst their friends. But sometimes the enemy is in your own camp. It could be your auntie. It could be your siblings. It could be your mum. Some of you, your mum has to bust it open and give you some kids because your mum is so involved in your relationship. And some of you, your girlfriends, your partners, they've gone to a shrine. It's that deep. They've gone to a shrine to get your love, to get you. And it's not even like you're the bee's knees or anything. They're coming to make you do slavery. Listen, the stories I've heard is so mad that the human mind cannot even comprehend what is going on in the spiritual realm. I'm telling you, like, it's insane. And I'm so glad that I have friends from all walks of life. It's not just a Christian thing. I've had a Hindu friend. I've had a Sikh friend. I've had 2 Muslim friends talk about, wait, hold on, they're all aunties. No, one of them was dad. Okay. Yeah, one of them was dad. But yeah, a lot of people think that the enemies, I'm not getting this promotion, the dark forces are in my workplace. It's in your mum, bro. It's in your dad. It's in your sister. These people are out for you. The thing is, I don't want people to interrogate people in the household and be paranoid. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I'm saying stay vigilant, protect your space, protect your aura, your vibe. Don't go over and above for people. Find your own path. Do your own soul searching. I promise you, it will be worth it in the end. Don't just chill, whether it be an imam, whether it be a rabbi, whether it be a Buddhist leader, whether it be a pastor. Find your own spiritual leader, because it's peak out here, you know, and that's a different level of ops. There's ops outside where your family can pray for, but if your ops are in your family, it's peak for you. It's peak. The last thing I want to say is tough times don't last, only tough people last. See you next time.